Hello and welcome to our Assurance Massive Open Online course. My name is Pankaj Kumar and today we'll be talking a little bit about abbreviations and terminologies and testing. So before we talk about testing, we got to know about what is quality assurance. Quality assurance is the means and practices to increase the confidence of quality in the customer's eyes for a particular product being manufactured or already manufactured. And that is the bigger, wider spectrum which involves testing as one of the activities. So you got the definition right there. It's a way of preventing mistakes or defects in a particular product and also to avoid the problems while delivering the solutions and or services to the customer. There are a couple of principles involved which are fit for purpose and right first time. Pretty self-explanatory. So the next topic is software quality assurance, which is dealing about the software engineering processes and methods used to ensure quality and increase the confidence of quality of the product in customer's eyes. It includes various processes such as requirement definition, software design, coding, the code reviews, walkthroughs, how do you configure the software, the testing part of it, the release management, product integration, and so on. Now we come to the first part, which is testing. As we discussed earlier, it's one of the software quality assurance activities. Now, the job of testing is not just to raise defects and it doesn't finish right there. It involves a lot of activities, which includes test planning, as in you gotta plan what are you going to test, when are you going to test, how are you going to test, and who's going to test, what are you're not going to test, etc. Control is having the planning monitored and compared against what we are proceeding with currently during our testing activities. Selecting different test conditions. For example, you have multiple requirements and we drill it down to different test conditions. That is what it talks about. Next stage will be conducting reviews, demos, walkthroughs. Coming down to the next activity, it would be about designing and executing test cases, checking the results as in actually executing the test cases and verifying if the requirements are being met properly, are we having any defects, any discrepancies, reporting on test activities, all the test planning and execution and monitoring and control activities, and finally we have the test closure activities, which is to be done after each phase of testing once it is completed. Moving on to the next topic, which is test planning. Here, as we discussed earlier, it's primarily about 5 criteria, as in who is going to test, what is going to test, when are you going to test, and why are you going to test, and what all you are not going to test. Pretty simple. This is your test planning. It involves different test activities and test objectives. Why are you testing, and so on. The next one goes about test control. It's again the same, comparing the actual test processes against what we had planned earlier, and if there is any deviation, any discrepancy against the plan, we got to report that. So that's what we have test control. It involves some sort of test metrics, various test metrics as such. Moving on to the next one, we have test analysis and test design. Every testing involves some test objectives, which drills down to some tangible test conditions and further to multiple test cases, or maybe even single as well. So this drilling down of test objectives into tangible conditions and test cases is what we have in analysis and design. However, we shouldn't be forgetting the prioritization. It's more to do with our risk planning in testing. Moving on to the next one, we have test closure. Once each test activity is completed, we collect the data and we have it stored somewhere so that we can reuse it for the next phase if applicable, or similar testing, or maybe for the releases of a particular product. This is for tracking and learning purpose. Now there are a couple of important terms that we got to talk about, which is verification versus validation. You'll come across this quite a lot in testing. So pretty simply put, verification is, are we building the product right? As in, we had already defined the requirements. Now, is my product complying to the requirements? Validation is a little different. It talks about, are we building the right product? It challenges the requirements and it gives us um, objective to test if the requirements were defined properly or not. There are plenty of testing models that we have up there in software delivery lifecycle. Couple of them are kind of important, which I would want to discuss right away. The first one being waterfall. As the name sounds, it's a unidirectional software delivery lifecycle model, wherein we have each phase starting only if the preceding phase was reviewed and verified properly. And V model, it's a sequential SDLC, wherein each stage of verification has a corresponding validation phase, as in testing is corresponding to each and every phase of the delivery lifecycle. You got to have acceptance testing for requirements, you got to have system testing for design, things of that nature. Now we'll talk about some levels of testing, which is primarily 4 we have right now, which is component or in unit testing is the same. The component and unit testing discusses about small components of a software product, which could be maybe software modules, the code part of it. Within the code itself, you got different modules, different functions, different programs, procedures, different objects or classes, which could be separately testable. Now, at this phase of testing, we do not have interfacing components or units or system available, so we try to virtualize it using different subs and drivers. The next phase is called integration testing, wherein various components tested separately interact with each other, and maybe various components of a particular system or various components of a particular system architecture, a heavy product architecture. These all interact between among each other, and then the integration part of the testing is called integration testing. Next one up there is system testing, wherein we gotta take the system as a whole and we try to check the behavior of the product or system, whatever you call it. Acceptance testing is usually done by our business users, stakeholders, and it's more to do with the readiness of deployment, as in if the system is deployed in the market with a proper production release, are we having it enough confidence to bring it to the customers? So that's what acceptance testing is more about, and is to do more with our business scenarios and customer functionalities, purely on that nature, how the customer would be using the end product. We have already discussed disclosure, so sorry about that. I have it repeated. The next one is wanted to just put the slide up there, which talks about some abbreviations. These are pretty self-explanatory. You'll come across these abbreviations quite a lot. It's just the need of we knowing what each term means, so that we get into more details further. So I think I've tried to cover all the acronyms which I came across so far in my testing career, and there are plenty of lot still left to be done. We may need to probably put in some more effort, and I think we are pretty much done with our terminologies and abbreviations in testing. So I would like to thank each one of you for spending your precious time over listening to this massive open online course about abbreviations and terminologies. My name is Pankaj Kumar, and I thank you one more time. Have a good day. Thank you. Bye bye.